I had bleeding in the brain and I could see it in there from a weird point of view. I could see inside the brain, but outside myself. And that they were showing me motions to do with my physical body and my ethereal body or how to clear that out.
I heard you talking in another interview about bringing heaven to earth through our heart center. How do we do that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's so much that could be said about that.
My intensive 8-week course, Alchemy, launches in June, where I will walk you through balancing each of the lower 3 energy centers step by step to propel you naturally into an opening of the heart and a profound spiritual awakening. Spots are limited and are filling up fast, so click here or check the description to learn how to use your alchemy to create effortless magic, to take those lower, dense emotions and transform them into bliss, abundance, and flow state consciousness.
I'm so honored and excited to be here today with Amber Celestial Angel. We're going to talk about Amber's childhood experiences because she had spiritual experiences even as a child. And then we're going to go from that into her near death experience. So thank you for joining us, Amber. I'm excited to have you here.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We could start wherever it makes the most sense to you and talk a little bit about the experiences you had as a child.
Yeah. So since I was young, I had dreams and visions. And at that point, when I started sharing those, I was in a very Christian home. And it was a mix of things that happened there. When I started sharing things, I was both either told, "Oh, that's probably just the devil," people not believing it. But on the other hand, there was the people who would start coming to me, asking me things, asking, like future things for them and for things. And mind you, I was like 10 years old at this point when I actually started sharing this stuff. So I was so confused. I didn't know how to handle it. That's a lot for a young kid. So I just ended up shutting down and, saying, I don't want this. Don't give this to me anymore. It's scary. I got scared myself. So, and then it kind of didn't really stop, but it definitely lessened. I just didn't talk about it as much anymore. Now, when I was a teenager and I got out of that environment, I was exploring more. I started exploring more and really became not atheist, but more, that caused a trauma being around all these religious people and them telling me there might be something wrong with me or asking me to predict things and give them all this information. So I almost went the other way, like I ended up just not really knowing what to believe is more what it was. Not really any sort of religion in particular, not atheist, not Christian, not anything, just nothing, I guess. I didn't know. And that's really when I did my exploring and I really was drawn to Buddhism at that point. And then once again, some traumas came up during that time. I got pregnant with my first child and I thought, what is this? I don't know if it's anything safe. I'm not sure. So it was once again, I kind of shut that off again, shut that out. When I got pregnant with my second son, he's 5 now, so about 5 years ago, when I was pregnant, all of a sudden there was this activation. I started getting messages and I started writing them down. The first ones who came were Archangel Michael and Mother Mary, which I didn't really believe at first. I thought, this is crazy. This is weird. But I just kept a journal and I was journaling all the messages I got. But I still didn't really tell anybody about it. So then with my third son, he's 4 now, I fell into like a depression. I felt like lost. I went through a lot with that pregnancy and just didn't feel healthy, didn't feel good. I was still getting these things, but I was resisting it. I was like fighting it. Like not understanding it. So I didn't know what to do about it except just keep journaling, but keeping it all inside was hard for me. Well, and then I can go into that with my third son. About 4 years ago, I had my near death experience, and that really shook me up and into you need to be sharing this. You need to share it.
Thank you for sharing all of that, Amber. So, do you want to just go right into your near death experience and what happened with that?
Yep, I can do that.
Okay.
So, I didn't feel healthy with that pregnancy really at all, but I had midwives on all my pregnancies, but this third one, something told me to go to the hospital. You know, I can go into that I was actually shown or told things that might happen. I was told eat dates to keep the womb healthy, which at the time I didn't understand, but I did. And I was just this pulling was tugging at me to go to a hospital. So while I was dealing with the depression, I ended up going to a hospital for other moms who were dealing with that. And it was really weird because it was on a street named Lincoln Street, which was my son, what we decided my son to be named Lincoln. So I thought, that's kind of strange. But I ended up going there and deciding, I think I might just end up going to this hospital. We'll see what happens. But if I don't feel well, I'm going to just go here instead. Well, it came to that. It came the time to deliver, and I decided to go deliver at the hospital, still with midwives. They were there, but I was there for 2 days and sent home. And then 2 days later is when I just was taking a nap, and that's not like me. I don't take naps, but I mean, I was just so tired. And I took a nap for like 3 hours, and my fiance at the time, he came in to wake me up and said, "It's time to get up. You've been sleeping a while. Maybe you need to eat." And I just felt like, no, I just want to lay here. And oddly, the sensation felt like while I was sleeping in a way, I just felt at so much peace. I felt like I could just die here. I could just die and I'd be okay. But I've got kids, that thought was in my mind too, but I just felt so at peace. But then this headache came and it just struck me. And I got up and I was real dizzy. I couldn't see. And I said, I think there's something wrong with me, but maybe it's just normal. I just had a baby. So started walking around and then I just couldn't hardly walk. I had this massive headache and my fiance said, yeah, let's take you to the hospital. So we went. I was diagnosed with postpartum preeclampsia, which I believe I had during the pregnancy. It just went unnoticed. But so postpartum preeclampsia, my blood pressure was 190 over 130. I mean, I was going into stroke mode, and the machines broke as they were trying to give me medication to just hurry up and try and get my blood pressure down. So I didn't go into a stroke. And then I still just felt kind of at peace though. But I remember this doctor, he comes in and I don't know, I just like envision him like putting on this gear real quick and he's like, we got to get this in you right now or you're going to die. And usually I'm like, I don't like medical stuff. So I'll like fight. But I just felt, okay, I got to just let go and let him do what he's going to do. And so they put the treatment in and took me down to a dark room. And on my way down, I started seeing little flashies, these I would say from people who have had a stroke that it's similar or stroke, like these little flashing things. And I was kind of in and out, in and out. And when I got down to the room, I remember it was so dark. There's no windows. It was just gloomy. And at one point, they said to my fiance, I don't know how much time really went by at this point. I was so out of it. But they told him to go home, go with the baby, get some rest, and I needed rest too. And so he ended up going home, and then this is when I remember start going into that place, into the near death experience. So I saw some of his past loved ones actually. They were just standing in the corner in the room. I saw them. And angels, which from what I experienced from the angels was they weren't in a form, they were light. They were a form of light and energy, just the feeling I could feel. And beautiful, so loving feeling. And I was just surrounded in this. And, you kind of go out of body, I guess. I'm not really didn't feel in my body. But so I go out and I'm shown they're leading me. The angels are leading me and Mother Mary. And I feel like she just gifted me with this presence of Divine Mother. Just this, that's what I can only explain it as, just gifted this unconditional love, compassion. And it's like she came into me in a way. And I was her, we were one, all, and they were leading me down this tunnel in a way. Or I don't know, some people refer to it as the void. It almost looks like what you'd see where like wormholes or time travel things. So going through this tunnel, and I said, well, if it's my time to die, I guess it's my time, but I would like to live for my kids. And they showed me as we're going down, they showed me kind of this dark area. I saw dark, shadowy kind of stuff. And I just said, well, I'm not going there. So on the other hand, but it's all like at the same time, but different times, it all just kind of flows into one. So I also saw this light side and I saw very vibrant colors, very vibrant shapes. And when I say these shadows or these shapes, they're not what you usually see in like our humans see. They're different. And all these vibrant colors, so beautiful, just magnetizing out. And I did see butterflies, and that was something familiar that I did see butterflies. And so there's a dark place I said I'm not going to, and then there's beautiful, vibrant place, and I just felt I didn't really feel anything in between these places, but I saw it, and I saw not that, but that's beautiful. But there was no real feelings during this time. And then they showed me my kids in the future, like how birthday parties and just what they look like in the future. And I was just smiling and I just said, well, you know, I did ask to be with my kids, to at least see my kids again. And you did give that to me. So, I mean, I kind of laughed in this place, like, okay, if that's all I get, I'll be happy with it. I'm ready to go. It's my time to go. And then I just came in this place and space of unconditional love. I call it heaven. I refer to it as like a heaven area or just like God, unconditional love. And I had no form. I was nothing. I was just this love. And I just now then I felt all this love in my being, but I had no being or form. I was just this unconditional love. And it was surrounded in light. That's all it really was. This beautiful light. And I just wanted to stay there. It felt so good. But then all of a sudden, I felt back in my body. I don't know if it was all of a sudden, how long it was, but it just seemed like it. I was back in my body in a way, but I was also out here, like outside myself, but in my body. And then this is when the angels started showing me how to heal myself. So they were showing me that I had bleeding in the brain and I could see it in there, like from a weird point of view. I could see like outside, but inside the brain, but outside myself. And that they were showing me motions to do with my physical body and my ethereal body or spiritual body, how to clear that out. And part of that is using that force of love, using that energy has a lot to do with it as well, healing. So I'm just sucking this blood out of my brain and cleaning my organs out. 'Cause if people don't know, that's what postpartum preeclampsia or preeclampsia, it's your organs swell and shut down. So I was clearing everything out of my body and doing this in my mind, brain, whatever, all different areas, and just clearing it out. And that's mostly it. I mean, I guess during that time also, it was kind of during the time they also were showing me like gifts, like showing me, you can do this. Like, you can do this. This is what you're here for. You need to spread the message, heal, and share with others. And so it was kind of a process from then and even after of learning myself and how do I bring this out and what was all that I just experienced? Who am I? And from there, I just explored and found a whole lot of stuff. Found out I didn't even believe, I didn't believe in angels really. I didn't really know about angels before. I didn't, like I said, I was Christian at one point, but then that I felt I was shunned. So I went another way. And so all this was very new to me.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Amber. So, would you like to share about how you began bringing these messages through? Like, what was your path with that?
I still mostly kept it to myself at first, but I shared it with my partner. After that all happened, I shared it with him, some family. I just kind of gradually started opening up. I I did classes and mentorship specifically about angels, and I got certified there. That was kind of a process to get through that and learn all that. And from then, gradually I've grown and grown and grown. And even now, 4 years later, I'm still learning and growing. It doesn't really end. But I I started a YouTube probably 2 years ago, maybe a year or two ago. Just started trying to reach more people. About a year ago, I started traveling on the road and meeting people that way. And so I've just been meeting meeting other people who do the same or people who not the same, but similar spiritual work. And that's always nice to have our tribe, our people, connect with them. And and also just anybody I've learned to just live that divine mother, divine feminine, live the spiritual way. And of course there's bumps along the way and things happen, but I can't, it's not anything I can ignore, and I can't go back to the way anything was before. I know the truth. I see truth. I see the agendas. I see what's going on in the world, and it's just, I'm so connected now. And it's like, I can't shut it off. Of course, I've gone through some times where my faith has been tested. And this last time, actually, there's been a couple more times, but since a time in October when I had a real bad dark night of soul time, my faith was really tested then, and since that, I just, nothing can take my faith. Nothing can take that away. It really helped me grow. Those times help us grow too. The dark time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I want to thank you for being willing to step out and share this message because I know personally how hard it can be to go against everything that you're taught when you're being shut down and it's so what you're bringing to the world now is so much needed. So I guess this would be a good point to ask you to share about what you do and where people can find you if they're interested in working with you.
Yeah. All right. Well, you can find me at ambercelestialangel.com. I'm on YouTube and Rumble as well. Same Amber Celestial Angel. I do readings, healing with people, animals, that be online or in person. And like I said, I am traveling still, but I'm mostly on the East Coast. So I do in person stuff still, and I go to shows, metaphysical fairs, and do stuff there. I've been drawn a lot lately to do a lot more in person stuff. So I'm I'm out doing that, but also still taking online readings and that kind of thing, healing.
So I'd like to ask you more about who you channel, or I don't know if you use the word channel. What terminology do you use?
I'm the same. I mean, channel, medium,
Okay.
there's different, terms. People get them intermingled. So
Yeah. Okay, so I've heard you talk about Mother Mary and then, Jesus and the Buddha and different types of angels.
anyone really, but the main is like I've had channeling with Abraham Lincoln, which that's real odd.
Mhm.
But yeah, it came up. Um, but mostly Mother Mary. She's just been with me from the beginning. And any of the archangels really, but mostly Archangel Michael, he's been there. They've been with me since the beginning. So mostly them, but I've done others.
Okay. So is there any specific messages that they've given you that you would like to share, or is it usually just for individuals, like very specific people?
No, not particularly. It's not for anyone in particular. Usually just overall main
Oh,
messages.
okay.
But let's see, I could probably think of some prominent ones that could come through. There's a real interesting, maybe I'll share it. A real interesting one I did that I channeled Buddha, Yeshua, Mother Mary, Krishna, and I think there was one other. Oh, just Great Spirit from the native,
Oh,
native
wow.
type stuff. And
Yeah.
that was real interesting to get all their different perspectives. But really, all of them had the same message with in different terms and different ways, but that pretty much returning to ourselves and to love, and love is the key. That always comes through. Love is the key. And truth, walking, seeing truth. Truth is very important in all as well. Seeing the truth, being the light of truth, sharing truth, and being the love and sharing the love.
So simple that we miss it really because we get so caught up in what's going on in this world.
And sometimes it's hard to be that simple. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it seems, but it is hard. It even now living it daily, things still come up, life things, but it's just easier to handle, I guess, when we're in this more, I don't know, beautiful space, you know?
So I heard you talking in another interview about bringing heaven to earth through our heart center. How do we do that for people who don't know?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I feel there's so much that could be said about that. Of course, going within can help, meditating, of course, doing those things. Meditating helps bring us back to our center and feel. But even more than that, it's also, like I was just saying, seeing the beauty. When you can look with the innocent eyes of a child, you know, see and look around and remember how we connect through each other, through nature, through the stars, like all and all as one. And when you're able to see that, feel that, and bring that into yourself, yet also it's like an all encompassing into yourself, yet also spreading into everything. This oneness, this love, this peace within. So I feel seeing the innocence and a lot within a person's self, if they're going through hard things and hard times, and it's hard for them to see that kind of thing. I feel my number one thing and what I've seen in other people is forgiveness, forgiving the self to open, allow yourself to feel and see that. Sometimes there's a blockage from yourself because of hurts and pains, things that have happened to you. It's hard to see that. So forgiving the self and loving the self is very important.
Something you just said made a connection for me, that it's hard for people to forgive themselves because of all the blockages that we have. So, if we are able to forgive ourselves, do you think that that helps to clear out some of our blockages and imbalances that prevent us from getting fully into our heart?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Okay, so another thing I heard you talk about that I'm really curious about is you said that you when you open yourself up to receive messages, you have boundaries and protection and you don't let just anything through. And I would love to hear more about that because I think that that's an issue that that a lot of people just aren't aware of maybe.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, this one doesn't come up much with people, but yes, when we open ourselves up to that kind of energy, or it could be any kind of energy, that's the thing. But if you just open yourself up to anything, that's where a lot of people I feel are being led astray, are being not exactly on their highest path, just because for me, I had to learn that, learn the boundaries, learn the discernment, learn you don't just let anything come through because it will. You're an open, it's like I like to compare it to a like radio station and you tune in. You're tuned in. And when you're tuned in or out, whatever you want to say, anything can really come through. That receiver is able to let anything through. So to me, setting that boundary and walls and protection is very important. I don't let just anything through. It's got to be from the highest loving sources and nothing more. But a lot of people do just kind of get whatever they get from wherever. I think of everything, or I've been shown things as like energy, vibration, sound, all that so prevalent in the spiritual world. Well, even here, but it's just not seen with these eyes, right? Right? Being here. So it's important per I would say, to definitely have the discernment and know what you're tuning into, the feeling. Feeling for me is a lot of it. And but whoever, whatever people might have, whether they see, feel, hear, or all of them, just knowing what you're tapping into.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially now in today's world because there are so many people channeling and that have these spiritual gifts and sometimes it can be confusing because just knowing like how do you use discernment and well this person said something different than this person and you know what I mean. So what advice would you have for people who are maybe listening to channeled sources as to how to discern?
Well, I think the first thing probably, and this is just coming through here because I actually had a different answer, but they said, no, this was first. First is you, the person listening, the person hearing, taking in that information, make sure you are on your highest vibration. When you're listening to these things, if you're in a lower vibration, you're probably going to be feeling or seeing or watching lower things. So you as a person being in your highest and best vibration energy that you can be, and you will be able to discern. You'll be able to just feel, see, know if that is truth, if that is by feeling, like I say for me, feeling. And you're just able to you just know, you just feel that that is for the highest and best or not. So, but I think the person who is the one receiving that needs to be clear in themselves first.
I'll ask you some of the questions that I ask most of my guests. You've probably been asked these before, but I'm still curious to hear your perspective. As somebody who's had a near-death experience and then come back, what would you say is the purpose of this life on Earth?
Well, uh, okay. Well, I think depending on the person, the purpose for each person or mission is individual. But I think it's really finding and remembering who we are. Um, the number one thing, finding, remembering who we are so we can fulfill the purpose, the mission that we're here to do.
Yeah, and that can be such a challenge for so many people, but I think we're at the point right now where a lot of people are coming to that awakening phase, and we're seeing a lot more people remembering that there's more to life than what we see in the physical world. I believe you said in your interview with Jeff Mara that you sometimes speak, like you work as a medium and you speak to people who have passed on. Is that correct?
Yes, I have. That's some of what I do in my work as well.
Okay. Is that something that you'd like to talk about?
It's just it goes kind of with that frequency, vibrational stuff, just another layer of and beings, that just have that have passed on. I've ended up kind of getting thrown into some work that I didn't really expect that I would, which is helping some pass over that have been stuck. So that I've had to do that a few times, and it's like, hmm, I don't think that was part of it, but it obviously is a little bit part of it. 'Cause I'm kind of just thrown into those situations a lot of the time, and so I end up doing what I'm guided to do.
Right.
Really, I just I really just follow the call, whatever I'm called, asked to do, of course. And like I said, if you're going with your discernment and your highest, best self, it's not going to be anything bad or negative or harmful to me in my space. But so I go with the guidance.
So, in your experience communicating with people who have passed on, do you find that everybody who passes on is at peace? Because I've heard some mediums say that everyone that passes on is at peace, and then I've heard others say that sometimes there's a process where they have to work through some things from their life on Earth. So, what's your experience with that?
Yeah, mine is that some get stuck. That's what I like to
Mm.
call it. Like I said, I've had to help pass some of them over. And sometimes it takes just one talk, and other times it takes months for someone to finally, and it comes back to this. It comes back to most of the time they're feeling guilt or shame or
Mm.
like in them that they don't deserve to go to heaven. They don't deserve that. Um, and, you know, I've been told and shown that, but everybody does. That doesn't mean like go live a terrible life. We want the best here on earth, but everyone deserves it still. Now, you might probably end up coming back over and over again to get it right, but yeah, there are some that get stuck and they have not have to, but part of what I've done and when I've been called to do that is to help them know they are forgiven and that it's okay. It's okay. They do deserve it. They can go to that unconditional love.
I wonder sometimes if the people who get stuck, if that accounts for some of the hellish near death experiences that we hear about, because that maybe they're creating that hell within their minds.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I hadn't really heard many near death experiences of bad things happening. So I'm not sure. I might go look at some videos now though about that. Now I have heard some people that have gotten real depressed have come back and they wish they would have stayed and they're kind of depressed now. To me, that's kind of creating a hell on earth for yourself. And I think a lot of people do that by accident just
Mm.
because of the way society and the way the powers that had been teach and try and mold into people. But really, like I said, the light, the unconditional love, I just want you to be happy and love yourself, forgive yourself, do good, be who you are.
So you might have already answered this sort of, but how could somebody avoid having to either get stuck or come back over and over? Like, how do we get it right in this life?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much that. Just remembering who we are, what we're here for. And no matter what your job or mission, that's personal. But overall, within whatever job or mission purpose you have, doing it with love, through love, living in the love. That's why I say the heaven on earth, like creating, being in that heaven on earth, viewing the things as the innocent, being that pure, holy vessel as much to each one's ability and just, connecting. They gave me these words during that experience as well: connection, cosmos, community, family. Those words specifically, I forgot about that. They're showing me now, came came during that near death experience. And then I had forgot about it and wrote it down in one of my journals later, and they just reminded me again, like those are very important to have connection with each other to all things and living the love.
So in right after your near-death experience, you said that they guided you on how to drain the fluid out of your brain and heal your body. Are those gifts that we can have here? Like, can people have those healing abilities here?
Yeah, it takes practice still, but yeah, it is. It is. Now, I'm just getting this now and it's coming through. People are on kind of different paths and different levels. So it just depends on what level each is on and how far they want to go. Like anybody could technically fulfill, get it right, do everything in one lifetime. But that usually doesn't really happen. I mean, it takes usually time, but it can happen. So the answer is yeah, everybody could, but it doesn't really happen very often because of all those other things I talked about, the not forgiving the self, being drained by the negative energies that are out there pushing things and just trying to suck your soul into the dark.
Well, Amber, is there anything else that you would like to share that we have not covered?
I don't think so. I think that's about it. That forgiveness of self and self-love was big, and just being being the love and then being the beacon in return for it and giving and receiving equally the love from all around, from each other, from the heavenly realms, from angels, source, great spirit, God, whatever people want to
Mm,
call it, friends, you know, family, community, just living in the love.
I love that. Okay, I thought of one more question. For a lot of people that I hear from through my channel will tell me, I know that I'm supposed to feel the love and be connected and all that, but I don't. I just no matter how hard I try, I can't feel love. I just feel so alone and so cut off. Do you have any practices that you do for yourself that help you to open up?
Yes, there's a few actually. Going back to that, remember childhood innocence, playing, getting out in nature and whatever you want to do out there. Like I love to take my harp and just go out in nature and play it. So music is huge. Good, positive, high vibe music. And you could go if you don't know about that, 432 hertz. And then there's some other one. Listening to that kind of music and dancing. Like anything, remember, like that made you happy or makes you return to that happy spot of like innocence. And I just don't care. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I curse, sorry, but
Oh, no, you're fine.
um just who cares? Do it. And like I said, I'll play my harp out there singing, but nature is number one. Like I like going out in nature and doing whatever that activity is. Just, of course, being in things like the beach or climbing, hiking, and even that, finding a silent space also can help you if you ask to feel that love, feel the connection with the trees, the rocks around. They have lessons and they'll teach you a lot. And then, yes, music, dance, all those fun things that open us up.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Amber. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me. I have really enjoyed talking to you and learning from you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching and listening. Your views, likes, comments, and shares truly make the biggest difference in supporting this channel. Don't forget to check the show notes for all the links to today's guest, as well as my links. You'll find me on social media at Love Covered Life, my website, lovecoveredlife.com, and the Be a Guest link for anybody who would like to be a guest on the channel. I have great news. Love Covered Life podcast is coming available on audio podcasts. You can find it wherever you listen to your audio podcasts.